need to open this episode with a confession, and it's not one I'm proud of. There was a stretch in my career, not that long ago, when I was hosting interview shows, different from this one, and every so often, a guest would email me a day or two before our recording. Something came up. They had to cancel. And I want to tell you, I was disappointed. I wasn't. I was relieved. If that cancellation came in before I'd done the prep, before the 2+ hours of research, the reading, the bio rewrite, the questions, the documentation, I felt this quiet little wave of relief wash over me like a snow day. Now think about how backwards that is. I'm a podcaster. The conversation is the whole point. The interview was the part I loved. And there I was, secretly rooting against my own show. Today, I want to tell you what was actually happening in that moment, because I promise you, the same thing is happening right now somewhere in your business to your best people. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, but you can fix it. I did. And the fix wasn't a tool. Let's go back to April of 2022. That's the month I shut down my podcast, Marketing Hyperdrive. It made it, 12 episodes. That's not a typo, 12. So I did what any determined creator would do. I studied what successful podcasters were doing differently. I changed the format. I changed the frequency. I bought editing tools that promised to make the production painless. And I launched a brand new show, The Virtual Event Strategist, with a sharper focus and a better plan. It died a few months later. Also right around 12 episodes. 2 shows, 2 funerals, and here's what took me years to see. Between those funerals, I changed everything, the tools, the format, the frequency, even the entire topic, everything, except the one variable that killed them both. The structure of the work never changed. Because here's the truth about a podcast. It's not one job. A podcast is a host, plus a researcher, plus a producer, plus an editor, plus a promoter. That's 5 seats. I had hired exactly one of those people, me. The other 4 seats, empty. And the work in those seats didn't disappear just because nobody was sitting in them. It landed on my nights, my weekends, and eventually it buried both shows. Without meaning to, I had run a controlled experiment. Swap every variable, hold the org structure constant, watch the outcome repeat. The tools were present the whole time. The seats were empty. Now, zoom out with me, because this is not a podcasting story. Last year, MIT's Project Nanda published a report called the Gen AI Divide, and one number from it traveled everywhere. 95% of enterprise AI pilots were failing. No measurable return. You've heard that stat. It opens half the AI keynotes in America, and it's almost always followed by the same diagnosis. Companies bought licenses and didn't train anybody. The fix, we're told, is better enablement. I don't buy it. You cannot train your way out of a design problem. Those pilots didn't fail because nobody taught the team to prompt. They failed because the company made a software purchase when the situation called for a staffing decision. Somebody bought seats of an AI tool, dropped them into the tech stack next to the CRM, and waited for the productivity to show up. Nobody wrote the role. Nobody defined what the AI was responsible for, what it hands off, who it reports to, how anyone would know if it's doing a good job. We would never onboard a human being that way. We do it to AI every single day, and then we blame the technology. So here it is, the premise I've come to build my entire business around, the argument I'll be making from every stage I step onto. AI belongs on your org chart, not in your tech stack. And before you finish the thought I know you're already having, no, not to replace the people you have, to finally staff the work no one was ever hired to do. Because every business runs on 2 org charts. There's the official one the one that shows what your people were hired to do. And there's the real one, the one that lives in their calendars and the one that is full of unstaffed seats, research nobody owns, reports nobody was hired to build, data entry, scheduling, follow-up, prep, admin drag smeared invisibly across your best people's weeks. Your best producer, hired to build relationships, spending her afternoons rekeying data. She's not underperforming, she's covering an empty seat, and she feels it. The same way I felt it every time a guest canceled, and I caught myself smiling. So here's what I did differently. The third time. In May of 2024, I launched the show that became the one you're listening to right now. And before the very first interview, I did something I'd never done as a podcaster. I wrote a job description. Not a prompt, a job description. I hired a showrunner, a defined role with real responsibilities on both sides of the microphone. Let me walk you through what that interview prep actually looks like now, because this is the part that makes practitioners lean in. I tell my showrunner we've got a new interview to prepare. He asks who the guest is. I give him a name, and he asks for their LinkedIn to study. Then he asks for the bio and topics the guest submitted through onboarding. He reviews all of it, the background, the preferences, the premise of this show, and he comes back with 5 angles we could take, and I pick one. He suggests 10 titles, and I pick one. And then he drafts the episode, a custom intro, a custom bio, 3 takeaways, and 10 interview questions. That bio, I read it on air at the top of every interview, and almost every single guest stops to compliment it. They say, Mike, I wish I had you along with me all over the place. They can hear that it's about them, not a template with their name dropped in. Then the recording ends, and the same showrunner, same chat, full context, takes the transcript and drives the show notes, the blog post, the newsletter, and the social content. Now, the receipts. Interview prep used to take me more than 2 hours per guest. Now it takes about 20 minutes. The work that used to smear across my evenings ships the same week, and the shows that died at 12 episodes, this one just passed 120. 12 was my ceiling for 5 years. The tools never moved it. One job description did. And I want to be honest about how this actually went, because it wasn't magic on day one. My showrunner started with loose instructions. We figured things out, interview by interview. And after about 20 episodes, I sat down and did what any decent manager does after a new hire's first quarter, performance review. I formalized the role, tightened the responsibilities, documented everything we'd learned together. You don't do performance reviews on software. You do them on crew. Oh, and one more thing about this episode specifically. The one playing in your ears right now. It was prepped by my digital crew, Flight. The show notes you'll see were drafted by Capcom. You're listening to an episode written about my digital crew, produced by my digital crew. If that doesn't prove the seed is real, I don't know what does. Now, let's deal with the thought somebody always has, because someone is thinking it in every room I speak to. This is how the replacement starts. Put AI on the org chart and eventually a human comes off it. I understand the fear. So let's look closely at my org chart. The flight seat, the assembly seat, the production seat, Capcom. Whose name got crossed out to make room? Nobody's. Those seats were always empty. The work in them was never staffed. It was smeared across my nights, my weekends, and my dread. The digital crew didn't take anyone's job. It took the work that was slowly taking mine. During the Apollo program, roughly 400,000 people worked in support roles so that 3 astronauts could fly each mission. 400,000 to 3. And nobody watched Mission Control light up and said the ground crew replaced Neil Armstrong. The crew is what made the mission possible. It made the astronaut more valuable, not less. That's what a digital crew is for. Not replacing your people. Giving them their jobs back. One more thing, and it might be the most important argument in this whole episode. Because AI sits on my org chart and not in my tech stack, I hold it to org chart rules. Every seat has to trace back to real work in my real business. My digital crew, my showrunner, my flight exists because prep and production killed 2 podcasts. My AI chief of staff exists because strategy work was eating my weeks. And some seats stay empty. There's an editor seat, assembly, on my chart right now that I could probably fill tomorrow. The technology is ready. I haven't filled it because I'm still scoping the role, and you do not hire for a seat until the work justifies it. Meanwhile, my flight is up for promotion, taking on more of the publishing workload. Roles grow, roles wait. That's how staffing works. And a caution, because the market is about to get very loud on this. Every vendor out there is now selling AI employees, agents you can supposedly hire off the shelf, productive on day one. But an agent you didn't write the job description for? That's still a software purchase, just wearing a name tag. The role, the scope, the reporting line, the definition of done. That design work is yours because nobody else knows where your admin drag actually lives. And that's the part nobody tells you. Writing the job description is the redesign. That's the step that 95% skipped. So here's your homework this week. And it takes 10 minutes. Pull up your org chart, the official one. Then open your calendar or your best performers calendar and compare. Every recurring block of work that doesn't map to a role somebody was hired for, that's a seat that's been empty for years with the cost hidden in plain sight. Then ask yourself a question. Which seat's been empty the longest? I wrote this whole argument down, the full story, the receipts, and that empty editor seat in a manifesto at theaihat.com. It's called AI Belongs on Your Org Chart, not your tech stack. And there's a link in the show notes. Because when you stop asking which AI tools to buy and start asking which seats to staff, everything about this changes. I'm Mike Allton. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap on another episode of the AI Hat Podcast. I hope you gained some valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your business with AI. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And don't forget to visit theaihat.com for more resources and to connect with me. Until next time, keep innovating and remember, the future of business is human and it's powered by AI.